All right, it's a debate probably as old as parenting. Is it appropriate to spank your child?
So a new study done right here in Houston says spanking can have negative long-term effects, and Brandy Smith is looking into it.
It's close to about 800 kids throughout the Houston area.
Dr. Jeff Temple and a team of researchers at UTMB Galveston have been checking in with that group every year. Now that they're in their late teens and early 20s, he had a new set of questions for them. Had they ever committed some kind of dating violence? 19% said yes. And of those, 69% said they'd been spanked growing up.
We found that, in fact, experiencing corporal punishment as a child was related to later perpetration of dating violence against an intimate partner.
Dr. Temple says it's easy to understand how that connection forms in the mind of a child whose parents used spanking to correct his or her behavior.
They might see that as an okay way to resolve conflicts in their adolescent relationships or their adult relationships.
The result of his study will be published in the Journal of Pediatrics. He says it just adds to the evidence that corporal punishment has negative long-term effects, such as aggression and mental health problems, despite so many of us saying we were spanked and we're just fine.
I think we not only do we want to be just fine, we want to be better than the previous generation. We want to be healthier and happier.
That was Brandy Smith reporting. Licensed therapist Bill Prasad now joins us. We always talk about cycles, I guess. Are parents who were spanked, are they more likely to spank their children?
Most of the evidence shows that we parent the way we were parented. So it could continue when we raise our own children. It wouldn't be anything strange if it did.
And of course, parents who do this will say, well, I turned out just fine. Is that a valid argument?
That's a really old argument.
That's a big stretch.
It is. The researchers in this who did this research would say that over the decades, things have changed. We know a lot more, and we understand how parenting has changed. For example, were there airbags in cars when you grew up?
I don't think so.
So I'm guessing that you wouldn't say, when I was a child, there were no airbags. I'm fine, so we don't need it.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Now, there are some people who certainly would be resistant to change. Are there do's and don'ts if you want to use corporal punishment for your kids?
If you have to use corporal punishment, the age range is 2 to about 6 years of age. Don't do it when you're angry, and make sure you reinforce to the child why it's being done and that you still love the child. There is one big don't.
Okay.
Sometimes kids hit each other. So if little Johnny hits his little sister and you get angry, don't hit little Johnny as punishment.
Because, yes, they see that. Are there well, let me rephrase that. We know there's better ways, so give us some better ways to discipline your children.
A timeout always works very well. Connect the timeout to the age of the child, meaning if the child is 5 years of age, 5 minutes of timeout. If that doesn't work, take away some things, make sure there are consequences. There's some research that indicates that the longer the punishment, the more impactful it is, such as spanking may last just a few seconds, but taking away a sleepover could last hours.
Yeah, that's certainly some good advice there. Licensed therapist Bill Prasad, thanks for being here. All right, so we want to know what you think. Do you feel spanking is an appropriate way to punish your child? It is the topic of our live poll today. You can vote yes or no at khou.com/vote now. As you can see, 87% of you say it is appropriate. We'll have more results at 4:30.
All right, let's turn to the